Namaskar.
Hello, Namaste Jagan. So, welcome everyone. Let us start. I think good time. We should start now. So, before we begin the reading for today, let us take the opening aspiration. If anyone could read it out aloud for all of us, that would be really nice. So, anyone who wants to go ahead, please unmute and
Yes.
yeah.
With boundless compassion and wisdom, I will work for the welfare of all. May we be free from hunger and discord and have joy and a world at peace.
Thank you. So, we are taking up, as we all know, verses one by one from the book Heroic Heart and reading also the commentaries. And we are right now on verse number 10. So, before we begin where we stopped last, let us take up the verse 10 once more so that we know what we are reflecting upon. So, these are 37 practices of the Bodhisattva as given in Buddhist texts, and Jetsunma Tenzin Palmo is commenting, giving us a few reflections on these verses and how to practice and implement. So, this verse 10 is valuing others. If all the mothers who have loved me since beginningless time are suffering, what is the use of my own happiness? So, with the aim of liberating limitless sentient beings, to set my mind on enlightenment is the practice of a bodhisattva. And as we were discussing, that when it says, if all the mothers who have loved me, as we were seeing the commentary also, it means that all the sentient beings, because we have had limitless, countless number of lives, and in one life or the other, each person or each being around us has been our mother. So, in that sense, they use the word, if all the mothers who have loved me, and just like how a mother cares for the womb and also later, you know, how can we let the mother suffer when the mother gives unconditional nurture to the child? So, we go to page number 64. I think we stopped. Where did we stop? Yeah, I think we read this one, and it doesn't matter what our mother was like. So this we had done. So today we start from towards the end of page number 66, which is, maybe say here, gratitude for the mother. So we start from here. We'll read and then we'll take reflections or questions, if any. So if anyone would like to read, please start from gratitude for the mother on page 66.
Yeah, I'll start.
Yeah.
Gratitude for the mother is the symbol and example of the extreme gratitude that we owe to other beings. Of course, in every lifetime, there are many beings that we feel gratitude toward. For example, farmers who grow all the food we consume, or all the people who make the myriad things we use. We could just go on and on forever because we are also dependent and interconnected with other beings. Therefore, we have a debt of gratitude to repay. The greatest, most final way of repaying that debt is to attain enlightenment in order to be able to liberate others, all our mothers from endless lifetimes. According to this aspiration, we are not just practicing to make ourselves feel better. We are practicing so that in this lifetime or in future lifetimes, we may be in the position to genuinely help beings who are so desperately in need of help, whether they realize it or not. That's the motivation.
Yeah. Thank you. We pause here. So, in day-to-day life, if we look at our own self, and nowadays in the times of consumerism, you just click on something and you have that thing next day in front of you through Amazon or wherever. But we rarely find kind of a time to think that so many of us are actually providing for each other, that we could not have food on our plate if the farmers are not working hard on their fields. Whether we may just give like $100 and get our food like that, but somebody is really doing a lot of hard work and putting sweat and blood in making that happen. And same goes for our clothes, whether they are made in factories or whether they are made handcrafted clothes. It doesn't matter how they are being made, but people are putting in effort. And it's not, and that's why Thich Nhat Hanh also shares that we are interconnected at a very vast level. We are as if, when we are breathing, we are actually interchanging breaths with each other, because all the breath that I give out has will be taken up by someone else. So we are interconnected at such a vast level, but we rarely find the time to feel grateful. And if we have maybe a chance to go to hospitals and have a look what's happening in the ICUs or emergencies, I think there also, since I had a many chances to go into the emergencies and ICUs, for example, and if one goes to the hospital, then one realizes that to have a healthy body right now, relatively functional intellect, mind is functional, we are able to understand what we read, that itself is so much already to be grateful of for. But usually our storylines are weighing so high, they are burdening our mind so much that we always are looking at what is missing, and we can't see what we already so much have. So there, kind of, we feel that feeling of gratitude if we see that I'm so healthy already, I'm been given this life, I'm relatively functional, relatively I can take care of myself no matter how good or bad may be the finances, can understand if I read a word, I can help someone if I want to. So that already is such a big blessing, but we don't see that usually. Yeah, so feel free to add on if anything. So mother also shares at one point of time, there is a collection of mother's words, Sri Aurobindo's words. It's called On Human Charity, something like charity. And their mother says that we think that giving food or giving money, etc., is the best kind of thing that we can do for anyone. But she says that that is not true. Although that may relatively help, of course, somebody if you are providing food or money or whatever, but you are making that person dependent on you. But that doesn't mean that you don't give. Of course, in all capacity, I think we must give, because nowadays we accumulate too much of wealth, and we don't share it with people. We think that it's my money, why should I give it, for example, to a beggar on the street? But as mother says, that we are just trustees of this money that is with us. It does not belong to us, it just belongs everything to the divine. And I have felt that it's very good to share money also, where people are in need, money, food, or clothes, or whatever, we can give, because I can give because I have. If I don't have, then of course I can't give. So Jetsunma shares one of the examples, kind of a true story, where she went to a friend's place and she gave a box of chocolates to the friend's child. And the child just kind of clung to that box of chocolates and said, no, no, this belongs to me. I won't give it to anyone. And because the father and the mother, they also were Buddhists and practicing Buddhists, they said something really nice, which is that, oh, since it is yours, that is why you can give. Otherwise, of course, you cannot give somebody else's stuff. But these chocolates, since they belong to you, that is why you can share. And that kind of rang a bell in the child's mind, and he actually then shared very happily chocolates with each and every person that was there. So since we have, whether time, presence, maybe mind, intellect, understanding, or money, I would say money also, and like in India, it's very common to have beggars on the street. At times I have discussed this with people. Some people say that we should not be offering money because it makes them run their business and whatever, they are doing a business over the red lights, and it's not a good practice. But if you have ever felt very, very hungry, very extremely hungry, and there is nothing that, and if somebody provides you with some food, you really feel such a, kind of blessing comes out from your mouth that, thank you for providing me with some food. So I feel that we must share to whatever capacity, that the money that I have in my bank does not belong to me only. And since it is with us, since we are relatively functional, financially capable, we must share. So whether it is money, food, space, wealth, mind, intellect, books, whatever, So I feel that it's good to share around, but that's my personal feeling. I don't know what would be the highest. So yes, yeah. So feel free to share if anything.
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
I talk to Taruma about this all the time, about giving with empty hands. About the story of Sibi Chakravarti, and many other examples like this. It's even when I'm off, when I'm giving, there is a calculation I make that, okay, I'm giving, so how much do I have, and will that be enough for my own sustenance? So as long as that is there, at least like you said, for at this point of time, yes, offering because I have is important, but yes, I aspiring to be at a point where it just comes. It just comes. I have an uncle, ma'am. He's a child of the mother for, I don't know, 60 years or something. Every time he goes around India conducting Pachakra in different cities, and I would call him and ask him, you're taking with you so many people, and what's your income source? I would ask him, and who's setting up your accommodation? And tomorrow he's going to reach a new city in Assam or somewhere, and he would tell me that I don't know. To tell me that mother's taking care of it, and he actually had no clue what's going to happen, and what's how he's going to feed others who are joining him, and yet he was so very confident. So yeah, so much faith.
Yes, beautiful. There's also one of my friends, she runs also this. There is a thing called Darya Dil Ki Dukaan. Some of us may know about it. It's online on Facebook also, and yeah, mostly I've seen it run on Facebook. So it's called Darya Dil Ki Dukaan, and there it runs on kind of pan India or pan world gift economy. Like you, if you have, you offer. So, for example, if I have space, so I offer that space to someone because I have space. So if I have a house, I offer one room to someone, and without the exchange of money. So this friend has also done this experiment from, I think she did it from India to, from starting from north of India to Pondicherry and then back, staying at various locations with no money in hand, and staying at various places in villages with people, and everything, as you said, so much faith in the universe that if you are there, then things will be just arranged. So they don't know where they are going to stop, they don't know who is going to give them accommodation, food, where is it going to come from, but they know that it will be provided. So she has done this experiment first in India, I think, north to south and then back. And now she's also doing this experiment in somewhere in Brazil. So, yeah.
Wow. It's just very inspiring, ma'am. More than anything, it's just inspiring that okay, that one can or I can reach that point where there is total surrender and there is because there are so many plans that I make, but ultimately it's her plan. The divine's plan that works, and I have tons of examples to prove that. So, and still, the monkey mind says, you plan, you plan, you plan, but it's not my own mind. It's her that's taking care of all.
Yeah. So this Darya Dil Ki Dukaan, what it does is that you kind of you can offer things. For example, if you have an instrument which is unused, so you put it online and then you ask the people to pick it up. That's how it runs. So usually what we do is we send. I don't be able to share the link because I hardly use Facebook now. But if on Facebook you type Darya Dil Ki Dukaan, then you will find it.
Yeah, I found it. I'll share it in the group.
Yes, you can.
So
Yeah.
they can pick in all the major cities in India.
I think it works everywhere, but you will have to check.
Okay,
At least in Delhi NCR, it works for sure. But
right,
uh,
right.
but otherwise, if for example, if you need anything, so then also you can put that I need this and I am in this location, so I can put from pick it up from nearby locations if somebody has. So that also can be done, and or if I have something to offer, I put the images of that I have. Maybe I can offer Kabir satsangs or whatever, out of free of cost. So then you offer,
Yes.
put the picture, and then people contact you privately.
Okay. Sure.
So I think these kind of practices also help us to open our hearts, which have become too constricted and narrow these days. Because we just want everything to our own self and not wanting to share. There's another program. It's called Khoji. So there is this university called Swaraj University in Udaipur. Some of us may be, I don't know, maybe aware of it. And it's I think the main founder there is Manish Jain. And what they do is with children or teenage or adults age 17 years to 23 years. So you can, after finishing your whatever studies, 10th, 12th, 11th, whenever you are this age, you go there and you can stay there for in that university for around 1 year, if I'm not wrong, and you explore yourself. It's called Swaraj University. You explore yourself, and there also they do this. Towards the end of the program, they do this uh, khoji, cycle yatra, where you are not with any phone. There is no money. You are just on a cycle, and you have to make a trip to the nearby villages or wherever. I don't know the exact thing, and everything has to be arranged just by grace. So again, that also propels us or compels us to trust universe and grace that things will be provided. You don't have any phone, you can't call anyone, you don't have any money, and there is just faith that things will be provided for me. So I think that's also I find very interesting. Should be very interesting. I've heard a lot. Yes, thank you, Jagan. Mm. Yeah, so this compilation that I was talking of on human charity, uh, their mother says that we may give all these kind of things which are material, but the best thing to give or the best of highest of our social responsibility is towards our own awakening. And that is why mother says that most of the time charity also hides behind the mask of ego consciousness, that your sense of self begins to depend on that charity that you are doing, though that I am the doer, I am the one who is giving or doing, and it's very hard to kind of get rid of that. So here also Jetsunma shares through the verse that it is the highest possible way to actually pay the debt, the gratitude, in the manner that we work for our own enlightenment, for our own awakening, that let me be united with my true consciousness, so that whatever my actions are there, whatever my words are there, whatever my relationships are there with people, they are based on this true understanding. And that is the best benefit you can do to anyone, parents, siblings, people around you. Uh, yeah, so Snehi is asking, is the Koji program free of cost? That's a very good question. I only yesterday I received this mail from them, Swaraj University. I think I'll forward it to you. I'll have to check. I never checked whether it is free of cost or not, but must be very nominal, because otherwise they won't be able to do that for the kind of people they want to do. So I'll share the detail with you. Yeah, so the greatest, most final way of repaying that debt is to attain enlightenment. So, again, as was said in the verse, that why would I work for my own liberation and knowing who I truly am? Because that is the only way in which I can be of best service to everyone around me. है ना? तो जैसे हमारे माँ बाप बोलते रहते हैं कि अच्छा शादी कर ले, शादी हो जाती तो बोलते बच्चा कर ले, है ना, सेटल नहीं हुए तो सेटल हो जा, मतलब ऑल द टाइम समथिंग और द अदर कीप्स ऑन कमिंग फ्रॉम आवर फैमिली रिलेटिव्स, but they are also saying it in their own ignorance, because they don't know what is the best way to, most of the times we are all speaking out of our ignorance. So they may think that getting married or having child is the best way, but how do they know? And in our own ignorance we actually follow that pressure and do all those things. But the divine grace is so abundant that no matter what we are going through in life, we learn. So whether we are getting married, having child, not having child, doing a work, not doing work, doesn't matter. Through every experience in life we learn. That's the divine victory, that no matter whether we make a right decision or a wrong decision, whatever the decision is, we will be learning. So that's where this mother is saying all the time in prayers and meditation, that the divine victory is certain, that the growth of consciousness will happen this way or that way. Hmm? But again, if at the moment we are in such a phase of our life that we see that in our ignorance we do so many actions which are not helpful to people around us and to my own self, then the best way to pay that debt of gratitude is to attain enlightenment in order to be liberate others. Why? Because I see that when I am not liberated, when I am in suffocation of my limited self, ego self, then I suffer. So since I also suffer in ego consciousness, that's how billions of others suffer. And the best way to help is to liberate my own self also along with the others around me. Hmm? Yeah. So according to this aspiration, we are not just practicing to make ourselves feel better. We are practicing so that in this lifetime or in future lifetimes, we may be in the position to genuinely help beings who are so desperately in need of help, whether they realize it or not. So in our ignorance, we may realize, no, we may not be able to admit that I need help. We may not be able to say that the way I am living is not the best way of life. That already is some kind of an awakening when we realize that no, there can be something better. But most of the times we are not even admitting. So people are in desperately in need of help, but we don't realize it. And the motivation is that let me be of benefit to my own self and to all the sentient beings. And the best way is to realize my true consciousness. So parallelly, we keep working on our inner work. The sadhana goes on. So anything in these two paragraphs that we read? Anyone? Okay, so we can go ahead if not anything. So two more paragraphs. Who would like to read? Will the ones in front.
Yeah, I'll go. What, sorry, what finer gift can one offer to repay the kindness of beings than to aid them in their liberation? Right now, we can aspire to do so, but we can't actually do much. It is like an armless mother watching her child being swept away by the river. We are helpless. We can't even help ourselves, much less other sentient beings, but the aspiration is there. We may not be able to help effectively now, but we will, from this point onward, use our time to really create the causes and conditions that in future will enable us to genuinely help in a deep and meaningful way. After taking refuge to enter the Mahayana path that emphasizes compassion, the path of a Bodhisattva, one receives the Bodhisattva vow, which is the vow to strive spiritually, not just for one's own liberation, but to attain enlightenment so that in time all beings will be benefited. This doesn't mean just humans, but also animals and insects, all the creatures living in the seas and the lakes, all the birds, and all the beings in the spirit realms, hell realms, and heaven realms.
Yeah, thank you.
Ultimately,
No, yeah, we'll stop here. Maybe
oh,
pause, take a pause here.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So, as the verse itself says, that since the mothers who have nurtured me, all the sentient beings who have been my mother in one or the other life, they have nurtured me, and I would like to maybe uh, offer them something for that nurturing. What finer gift can one offer to repay the kindness of beings than to aid them in their liberation? So, there is a story which I am recollecting at this moment, that there is I won't be able to exactly recollect, but the gist maybe I can recollect. So there is a person who is eating food, and a beggar comes to him. So what he does is he offers food to him and remains empty stomach himself and offers all his food to the beggar. Now, beautiful deed done, and can be called selfless also. And the same beggar, after a day, comes again to that person, and that person is counting money, and he has quite a lot of money that he's counting. So he gives all the money to that beggar that he's counting, and the beggar goes away. And since that money lasts enough days, the beggar does not come for a very long time to him again. And then again that beggar comes, and a person, now this person, I don't know the same person or a different one, he offers him the way to, he kind of makes him independent in the way that he can be on his own and earn his own money and sustain his own self. Now, in these three, the biggest charity is that one made the other person independent. So many a times in our relationships also, it happens that most of our relationships are very clingy relationships. Even in the name of friendships, we may have very pleasant, good friendships, but we there also clinginess can come. So you become either spiritually, morally, whatever, dependent on the other person, and the other person also derives a lot of pleasure from it, because it makes the other person feel good that, see, I am able to help someone. But that also is a kind of an ego involved there, because the best kind of help is that actually the person maybe never turns back to you. You made the person so independent that the person just now flies. But usually we don't want to do that, because since we ourselves are so distorted in our way of living and incomplete in our sense of self, that if there is a friend that we like, we would not like that friend to be so independent that a friend kind of flies away and is on his own. So that's why in that compilation on human love by Mother and Sri Aurobindo, you know, it says that actually true love, we don't know what it is. And I totally resonate with it, that 40 years of my life, and I don't know really, I still am fathoming what is true love, because wherever we see there is a mixture of demand, there is a mixture of expectation, there is a mixture of kind of uh, a kind of completion that you find in the other person, in the name of friendship, relationship, whatever. So can there be love? And actually Sri Aurobindo says that many a times people are very loving in nature, but to other people it may appear actually very indifferent and cold, and they themselves may not know that they are loving, because they don't have this mixture of the vital emotional vibration present in them. So it's very interesting that we don't know what love is, while love is our true being, and it just tells us that we must be then far away from true love. And there is much more to be explored in life. Yeah, so I don't know why I went there, but yeah, let me see where we were. Yeah, so if we truly love people around us and we care for them, then the best is to aid them in their liberation, to get them to be free, independent, that they now are not only not dependent on other people, but also not dependent on you, for example, for their joy and delight. And that does not mean that we are not interconnected. We are all interconnected and we are all interdependent, of course, that we were sharing in the beginning, that for a farmer grows and we eat. If the farmer doesn't grow, we don't eat, so we are all interdependent. But this is about this emotional dependency or a sense of self that we derive from other people. May that not be there, because that brings a lot of strife, misery, and insecurity. So, to aid them in their liberation, that they can be truly independent and their own source of light and joy, that would be the best gift that one can offer. So, right now, we can aspire to do so, that may I do the best available for my sibling or parent or friend, but we can't do actually much because it's like an armless mother watching her child being swept away by that river, because we ourselves are full of so many insecurities कि हमें लगता है कि अरे यार ये भी अगर हमें छोड़ के चला गया तो हमारा क्या होगा. तो आप कैसे उसको जाने दोगे. एक कबीर का वो है दोहा, जिसमें कबीर जी सेज, बंधे को बंधा मिला, छूटे कौन उपाय, कर बंदगी निर्बंध की, पल में ले छुड़ाए. So if I am living from my own insecurities and the other person also comes to me living in her own insecurities, and now we both are together, we'll both try to fulfill each other through the other person, and that can never ever happen. It always creates more and more strife, misery, and entanglement. So then he says, कर बंदगी निर्बंध की. तो अगर आपको क्लिंग होना ही है, चिपकना ही है, तो उससे चिपको जो खुद बंधा हुआ नहीं है, and that would be divine. कर बंदगी निर्बंध की, उसके स्लेव बनो जो किसी का भी स्लेव नहीं है और किसी से भी नहीं चिपका हुआ, पल में ले छुड़ाए. And that is why when we are walking towards truth, and truth is our goal, and or the divine, whatever we may say, then we are having good friendships and harmonious relationships. But when the center of attention becomes the other person, then we have entanglement, and no person can satisfy our needs It is not possible. That is not the design of the creation that is there. So we feel very helpless there in that sense. So she says we are helpless. We may have a good intention, but we are not able to do much. We can't even help ourselves much less than other sentient beings. But the aspiration is there. We may not be able to help effectively now, but we will from this point onward use our time to really create the causes and conditions that in future will enable us to genuinely help in a deep and meaningful way. So right now, how we are spending our time, we may want to help the other people, but we see that we are incapable at most of the times. So what should I do so that I may be able to genuinely help? And that is why we practice. That is why we bring the mind to the center. That is why we tame the monkey mind. That is why we read these books and reflect over these books. So that now whatever time is there with me, I can put it to effective use, so that when I am interacting with the world, I may actually spill out holy water from within me rather than the drain water. So we may have the aspiration, but we may not be able to help effectively right now. But that aspiration takes us forward. And she says that from this point onward, we use our time to really create the causes and conditions, use our time and energies very effectively, that in future that will enable us to genuinely help in a deep and a meaningful way. So after taking refuge to enter the Mahayana path that emphasizes compassion, the path of a Bodhisattva, one receives the Bodhisattva vow, which is the vow to strive spiritually, not just for one's own liberation, but to attain enlightenment, so that in time all beings will be benefited. So Mahayana means the great vehicle. Some of us may know. And the great vehicle means that imagine that you have to cross a flooded river. You have a small boat, and only you can sit. But that's not what you want. You say that no, I not only want to go, I want to take others also along with me across this flood that is there. So there is a great vehicle which takes not only you but also the other people along across the bhavsagar, the emotional overwhelm and the entanglement that usually the worldly things give us. So when we take refuge in the three jewels, which are Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, which means that you again put your mind to the divine again and again, again and again. Dharma is good words, scriptures, all these things that take us to our higher self. And Sangha is community of travelers who always guide you towards the right path. So when we take refuge and when we enter this Mahayana path of Buddhist tradition, the great vehicle, which emphasizes that let us be compassionate. Let us not only strive for our own liberation, but also for the liberation of other beings around. The path of Bodhisattva, then one receives the Bodhisattva vow, which is the vow to strive spiritually. Why am I doing my own practice? So that when I come out of my practice, I can be of benefit to others and not be a kind of, drain water for others around. So to take a vow to strive spiritually, not just for one's own liberation, but to attain enlightenment, so that in time all beings will be benefited. This does not mean just humans, but also animals and insects, all the creatures living in the seas and the lakes, all the birds and all the beings in the spirit realms, hell realms and heaven realms. So in Buddhist tradition, they at times also say that, all the blood-sucking monsters, if since they are dissatisfied and they are not getting enough blood, come to me and suck my blood. To that extent, compassion has been there in Buddhist texts. And I personally resonate very much with that, because then you are not bothering about your own self. And you're also taking in kind of being inclusive about monsters who other people may not give a damn to. And that is why we see with Shiva, if you see with Shiva, in Shiva's brigade, Lord Shiva, Shivji, सारे के सारे उस टाइप के लोग होते हैं जो बाकी देवताओं के साथ नहीं होते बिकॉज शिवा गिव्स रिफ्यूज टू एवरीवन, that everyone is welcome and each one has the right to live and to be happy and to be well. So in Buddhist tradition also I find that the same compassion, that all the people in the hell realms and all the beings who are dissatisfied, let them come to me, and if they need blood, let them suck my blood. To that extent actually they say, so that they can be satisfied. Yes, Ritu.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay. So I think we when we often wonder why should I practice, we have to practice because we see that when we do practice, any little bit of discipline that we bring to tame our mind, not to get lost in the thoughts again and again, not to be disturbed by the surface turmoil again and again, then we see that we actually are of benefit to people around us. All of us can see that. It's very tangible. It's nothing mumbo jumbo that we can't see. So that is why we must practice. And we also see that when we continue to practice, we also benefit. And if I keep a kind of a relative degree of sanity, which of course can increase, then again I can benefit so many beings around me. And since we would like to benefit, those of us who resonate with this idea that we would like to benefit, then the best way is to strive for our own true consciousness, to again and again unite ourselves with our true consciousness, which we forget. Since we believe ourselves to be this limited, separate self with this kind of an image and these kind of qualities, and that doesn't help us. To limit ourselves does not help us. And that is why to find out who we truly are, to strive to be liberated from the prison of the ego consciousness, helps me also and helps others also. That is why we practice. So anything here, anyone?
On that thing about true love that you were talking, I've always questioned this, ma'am, ki why is there pain in true love? Like, especially in my true love that I thought is true love anyway. So I ended up asking this question to um this my uncle, and I told him that, uncle, see this person, there is this person in my life, for example, let's say, my ex-girlfriend, and, I used to get so jealous of her, every time she praises someone else, or every time she's saying that she's having a good time somewhere that I was not there. I used to be like, okay, that's good for you, but I was happy as an exterior on the outer side, but innerly I was not. I was happy, but also I was thinking, okay, well, I wish I was there. I wish I was there. So I told him that, my love. I'm thinking that I have this feeling that my love is only when the person is with me and finds happiness because of me, and I'm not loving because this person is happy regardless of me being in the picture or not. And to this, he tells me really beautiful stories. I would love to share it here. He told me that, first of all, he asked me, so what's your question? I said, I want to change. I don't want to be this. I want to be selfless. He said, okay, then offer it to mother and tell mother, just openly tell her that this is what you don't want in you, and this is what you want. This is what I want to love truly, as in the true sense of love, not like this, like a transaction. So I said, okay. Then he said, also make sure that you are naked in your approach. And I said, okay, can you explain? And he said, lot of people, he gave example, a lot of people when they go to temple, they are all like, Bhagwan, I'm बहुत विनम्रता से, please help me. I'm such a good disciple and all that. He said, don't be like that. Just go and just tell anything. just naked, because there are certain things that are that feel taboo in this world, but for the divine there is nothing disgusting, anything. The divine will take it and change it. And he told me a story about Duryodhan. Gandhari, once she told Duryodhan that, I have these powers with me, and I can cover your entire body with these powers, so you're protected during the war, something like this. And she says that, go take a bath, you know, by the river, and come back naked. Don't wear anything. And when you come, I'll take my, the thing of my eyes, and I'll give you this power that will protect you. So Duryodhan goes to this river and he takes a bath and he's coming back all naked. And Krishna finds him on the way and he says, Duryodhan, what are you doing? Like, what is this avatar and all? And he says, my mother instructed me to come like this. And he says, okay, I understand. But, you're not a kid, you are an adult. And at least cover your private parts and then go there. And he does that. And then he gets the power and all, except for the part under the abdomen. And in the Mahabharata, he was killed by Bhim exactly because that was his weak point, because he did not expose it, and that was how he was killed in Mahabharata. So the thing he was trying to tell me is that if I am hiding something, like I until he didn't tell me, I didn't realize that I was hiding. I never went to mother and said that, mother, my love is not true. I would say my love is true, but I don't know why I'm feeling the pain. But when he told me that, I realized, ki, acha, then my approach also changed. I'm not saying the transition has been made, but at least my approach is there, that I am not no longer afraid to think that, okay, mother will be disgusted of my thoughts. No, I can just go and I can just say, ki, this is what I have in my head. Change, please. And yeah, so that's true. All I wanted to share, because I also, for one, I find that, um, why should it be painful? This is love. This should be blissful. There should not be pain, and if it's really true love. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It's complicated, That's why there is pain. There's lots of mixture of egoistic self and demands and expectations, and whenever they are there, there is pain. Because as mother says, when according to you things are not happening, then it gives us pain. And that's why they say the pure love is unconditional. But I think if we begin our journey from human love, uh, it takes a quite a bit of a sadhana to really purify it of all the mixtures, so that it actually stops giving any amount of pain. Because as long as any amount of pain is there, which is there in human love, it means a lot of mixture is there in that one drop of love. So that's what we can actually use, whatever love we have in our relationships, whatever we can, if there is any drop of pure love, we can actually use it as a step of sadhana. And this has been elaborated enough by Mother and Sri Aurobindo. There's also this compilation that I was talking of, Preparing for Yoga Through Human Love, which is a compilation of words and of Mother and Sri Aurobindo on how we can use this mixture that we have to actually purify and take us towards where there's only love and no conditions, and actually you want the best for the other person. But in our kind of love, which usually gets portrayed through Bollywood and Hollywood movies, what happens is that we, in the name of love, we want to control the other person. If in the name of love we want to possess the other person and say that you belong to me and no one else, so that always brings us pain, because no human being can be very happy without blossoming. No one of us can be happy in a cage. So true love, that's why, is courage. True love is, that's why, freedom. Because if I love somebody, my child, or a person in front, then I would allow the person to just be and explore. But in our kind of label of love, we do the opposite, and that's what gets portrayed in all the movies. And that's what we carry in our head. Our minds are very much conditioned with what we see. So, if those of us who are interested, they should read this compilation, Preparing for Yoga Through Human Love, because that helps us, as Jagan was sharing. We can slowly, step by step, offering all the impurities to the mother, we can actually purify our love and gather strength within us, and also give the strength to the other person. It lots of courage is required, not for the weak, I would say. Yeah, anything more, anyone? So we can maybe stop here for today, enough to chew and reflect upon. This is page number 67. So we pick up the threads next time from here. And in the meantime, we continue to do whatever little practices we have for ourselves to tame our mind, to make ourselves sorted of all the impurities, again and again, sorting all the impurities. And in whatever way we are doing our work, we can continue to do. So, any last comments before we do the dedication? Okay. So, taking a moment of silence to share and dedicate all the merit that we may have or have accumulated through collective reading, reflection, understanding, sharing it with all the sentient beings, near and far. May all of us have lots of contentment, strength in our hearts, and in our lives, lots of progress and joy. And may we be slowly rid of all our impurities and imperfections. May we have the courage to let go of our weaknesses and imperfections. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.